Hey guys, welcome to the first edition of the Run Pure Sports Saturday College Basketball Main Slate Playbook Show. This will take the place of the written playbook since it's an early lock. I did a quick video last week because I was out of town, but I have some help this time. I've got my buddy Gavin here, who everyone knows, from Keg's weekend live betting shows and the college basketball preview show that we did. As always, Gavin is kind of behind the scenes, so there's no video, so it'll be just audio from him. How you doing, Gav?
Doing well, man. I think this is the first kind of major, weekend slate we've had of the year. We had kind of a decent one midweek. I want to say it was a week and a half ago, but this is kind of the first one, 100-plus games, a couple marquee matchups. Excited to break this one down.
Yeah, me too. And then we were able to convince John to come back. He's taken time out of attacking national college basketball writers on Twitter. Thanks for joining us again, John. How you doing?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me back on. This is the first non-college football Saturday since late August, early September. It's a weird mix of, we're kind of caught in an odd spot with some conference games, a whole lot of random non-conference stuff. So it's a good slate though.
Yeah. Draftkings gave us a good slate of games. So what we're going to do is just kind of walk through game by game. Gavin and I will give our DFS perspective, and John on, matchups and the betting side. So I think we have a good mix here. But before we start, wanted to just let everyone know, that this is a free show tonight, but every day on Run Pure Sports, I do a written playbook, which is basically what we're doing here in video form in a easy to read written form up on the site, and core plays for each DraftKings main slate of the whole season. So if you like what you see here tonight, go ahead and subscribe. Run Pure just teamed up with SaberSim starting this week. Right now they're running a 15% off an already discounted price that gets you both Run Pure Sports and the Run Pure bets, in addition to SaberSim's optimizer and projection system. So that's just a great package. It's $190 monthly value, marked down to $127 right now, or $140 if you include the bets, and that's just running for this week only. So use the promo code SABER15 when signing up to get that deal. And then since we're on YouTube, everyone always asks, please like and subscribe. That just gets a video like this in front of more eyes and helps us out. So please do that. And with that out of the way, let's kind of jump into the slate here. So the first game we have is Nebraska playing Auburn in Atlanta. It's kind of odd. It looks like there's 4 games there tomorrow. Some sort of, not an MTE, but I guess just a neutral court, all day affair. That sounds cool. Auburn's a 14-point favorite. I see the total at 149.5. Ken Palm has it, Auburn 81-69. John, initial thoughts on this game and the matchup in general?
I've been outrageously high on Auburn since the start of the year. And a couple of days ago, kind of anticipating that they would get off easy today with the sanctions issue, I played them 65-1, small bet to win the national title. This is a team with an outrageously high ceiling, like a top 5 ceiling if it all comes together. Unlike some of these other teams that we've seen, kind of older teams who've kind of maxed out, this is a team that's going to get better and better with as young as they are. Weirdly, though, this is an odd spot with Nebraska coming off of an absolute shit kicking at home against Nebraska. You're going to get Nebraska's best effort if they're healthy. There were rumors flying today that they've got a big flu problem. Like a lot of teams have flu issues right now, and it's hard to know who's going to come. But I think Hoiberg said that a few guys didn't make the trip, didn't specify who. So given Auburn's depth and given this already very thin margin for error for Nebraska, as much as I'd like to take the 14, I'm going to pass here.
Yeah, same for me as well. Just some quick stats here. Nebraska's got 3 losses, NC State, Indiana, and Michigan, and they've been hemorrhaging points lately. They've given up 100 plus in 2 of their last 3. Auburn got tripped up in that awesome UConn game a couple weeks ago. I think it was a double OT game. That was a lot of fun. But they've got a clean slate otherwise with wins over Syracuse, Loyola Chicago, and UCF. The only injury note I've got here is Walker Kessler re-injured that knee last weekend, but I think he should be back here. He's been awesome at times this season. What do you think overall, Gav?
I don't necessarily like the matchup stylistically from a Nebraska standpoint. You know, when you're so dominated by 2 guys in a freshman of Bryce McGowan's and what it seems like a 12th year senior in Alonzo Verge, we definitely know what we have with Verge. We're starting to kind of see what we have with Bryce. They're both going to be kind of high volume, high usage guys. And if one of them is hitting, you know, Nebraska could possibly stay in the game. If both are hitting, they could potentially be competitive, you know, in terms of kind of low single digits. If neither one of them are going against what is an extremely kind of pressure intensive Bruce Pearl offense, it could get ugly for Nebraska. The thing is, you know, Ken Palm has them 20th in terms of allowing turnovers, which I was kind of surprised by when you have guys like Alonzo Verge, who's always been a relatively high turnover, high usage guy, and another freshman in Bryce McGowan, who's taken on the load after his brother Trey went out for the year, even more so. I can't imagine that sustaining. I think that they definitely balloon in that facet. And against a team like Auburn, I'm not really trying to, you know, at that point, take the points with them because, you know, it is pretty ugly. And Auburn's played kind of 3 relatively lax, easy games against kind of mid-majors last couple. So they should be relatively full rested. Interesting, but, you know, not a game that I'm trying to get in on. When you got 100-something games on the slate, not one that I feel like we need to really try to stab hard for.
Nebraska should welcome this tempo. Like Verge loves to play in the open floor. McGowan's was a 5-star recruit. They should be happy to go up and down with Auburn. The problem is Nebraska shoots the ball so quickly and they often take such terrible shots. Those misses could turn into runouts the other way. I mean, you know what Nebraska's going to do defensively? They have to. They're going to pack it in. They're 7th in Haslametrics shot proximity, which is a cool tool that tracks how far the average shot is that you either take or allow. You know they're going to be as condensed as they can be. And Auburn is not a great jump shooting team. That's really the only way I could see Nebraska staying in the game is if Auburn gets jumper happy. Yeah. And Nebraska, they have to somehow survive on the glass too, which is not going to be easy.
Yeah. Auburn's 2nd in adjusted shot quality. Nebraska's 62nd, which even at 62nd for Nebraska, I'm kind of surprised with guys like Bryce McGowan's and Alonzo Verge, given that they're probably a lot more inclined to take either long distance, ill-advised threes or kind of contested 2-point shots, but, you know, massive difference there. I was kind of surprised Auburn 2nd in the entire country as well in terms of the adjusted net difference between their offensive and defensive shot quality.
Yeah. And to kind of back that up, what John was saying, Nebraska shooting 25% from 3 on the year, 350th in the country right now. And then on the glass, and this is how I'll transition us to some DFS talk real quick. Nebraska 335th in offensive rebound percentage, 307th in defensive rebound percentage. And Auburn's got a pretty good 5-star freshman here that has some really impressive to me so far. Jabari Smith is sitting here at 9K, Gavin. I think that he's my favorite play in this game. I wrote down on the Auburn side, guys, I think who are in play, Jabari Smith at 9-1, Katie Johnson, who is, man, he is fun to watch, is at 6'8". And then I think some cheaper guys are in play here. Jalen Williams, who I know you love, is at 5K, you know, isn't going to give you 25 plus minutes, but really productive when he is on the court. And then of course, Walker Kessler, you know, if he is back and sees, you know, 20 plus minutes here with his rebound and block rates, I think he could easily smash this price. What are your initial thoughts on Auburn here for DFS?
Yeah, anytime you got a team total over 80 on any given slate, you got to look at the team. And so, Auburn is one of the first teams you got to start with. You want to talk about one of the nut matchups for Jabari Smith. I mean, he's been that kind of mid 9K highest price guy on the slate for the entire year. This is the absolute best matchup for him. You talk about Nebraska, not only 350th in 3-point percentage, which the more 3-pointers that you're missing, the longer rebounds that occur, but they're also 235th in 3-point defensive percentage. Also 118th allowing offensive rebounds. So I think this has not only Jabari Smith double potentially written all over it, but this could definitely be 50 bomb territory. And if I am going to spend up on this slate, he was kind of the first one that I got to. But on the same token, you talk about if it doesn't happen one way or the other, and you're spending $9K in the first game of the slate, that's 30 minutes before the start of any other game. There's nothing worse than being buried early, like before the other games have even started. So there is that to consider. It's not just a lock and load. Don't even consider.
Yeah.
There is some thought going into it. And depending on what value that you prefer, he could come into play.
Right.
Wendell Green is one of those transfers that put up such big numbers at their previous mid-major that they've just been priced out at their new role, at their new higher caliber program. David Collins on this slate, Tyson Walker at Michigan State, Davion Jones at Michigan. So not really for me. KD Johnson, you mentioned it, high 6K. That's pretty pricey. It feels like he's a better kind of real life guy than DFS player. But at any given time, he can boink a 5-steal game and turn the slate on its head in a minute. And he's got a pretty good shot volume in the last 3. Although I mentioned it was against lesser competition. Walker Kessler, the ultimate GPP piece, 11 points, 54 points, 11.5 points. That's so take that for what it's worth. He's got to be in your player pool. Just get over the field on him and don't even think twice about it. But other than that, I don't have a ton from this game. Cambridge is kind of in that dead man's, 5K zone. I'm out on that.
Yeah. So I think on Auburn, to recap, I think Jabari Smith is one of the best plays on the slate. I mean, 21% shot rate, really good peripherals, perfect game environment, like we said. And I think that they can get over this team total too. Real quick on Nebraska. I wrote down Verge, of course. Verge has got, John, last 3 games, 25% shot rate, 21% rebound rate, 52% assist rate when he's on the court, playing pretty much full minutes. 23% usage. You love to see that. I just always have it in the back of my head that, he just puts up clunkers in random games like this, just a tough guy to trust overall. Outside of him, we talked about McGowan's earlier. I think he's a bit too risky for me. He hasn't played well yet against a good team. He's played really well in the easier matchups, and he just hasn't shown it to me in a big game yet. So I think for me on McGowan's, I'm going to wait and see there. Plus, I'm with John. I think this Auburn team's really good here. The cheap guy on Nebraska, the JUCO transfer, is playing more minutes now. Tominaga, he's at 4.4, basically a 3-point only shot guy in a GPP flyer. But that's all I had on Nebraska. Gavin, any thoughts before we get John's last
Nebraska's
thoughts on Verge?
We can keep this quick. Tominaga is pretty much Luke Frampton from Western Kentucky. If he hits 4 threes, he's going to pay off value. If he doesn't get going at all, he's going to kill you. But Nebraska's easy. It's comes down to, do you want McGowan's or do you want Verge? If you want to get on the Bryce board, he's 14 of his last 46 from the field, and 5 of his last 25. 14 of 46 from the field in his last 3, and 5 of 25 from 3 in his last 5 games. So maybe you get some of the regression, kind of what we were trying to play on with the Tyrese Hunter the night before, but YOLO Zoe Verge always in play. We'll see how core he gets when we compare him to kind of other 7-ish K guys, but always got to consider him DFS darling as much as he wants to kind of drive your head into a wall as a coach.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on this game, John, before we move on?
Yeah, one thing with Tominaga that's interesting is Auburn's defense is very much like a scramble-y run and jump, try and turn you over. And it's not really a bad matchup at all for Verge. Like, he can get to the rim. And if Tominaga's open in the corner on the wings, Verge will find him. So he's going to get some looks. But yeah, I mean, it's as you guys know better than anyone, it's just a 3-point only guy. He could hit 5, he could hit none. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, that 52% assist rate really jumped out at me for Verge. I just think of him as a ball hog, but that's definitely something to take into account. Next, we've got BYU against Creighton. They're playing this in Sioux Falls. I'm seeing BYU -5.5, 140 total. Ken Palm's got it. BYU 73-67. BYU's got a home loss to Utah Valley. That was kind of odd last week. But they already have 5 top 100 Ken Palm wins. This is a good team. Nebraska has lost their only 2 top 100 games so far. And I'm not seeing any injuries here. So why don't you start us off, John, with some thoughts on this one?
Yeah, there's one relevant injury for BYU. Gavin Baxter a couple games ago went out for the year again. I think it was something with his knee. And the BYU schedule last like 2 weeks is pretty nuts. Like, they played 3 difficult road games, 2 of which were, you wouldn't think Utah Valley would be a rivalry game, but they packed that place. And, Mark Pope had been the coach at Utah Valley. So there's so much familiarity there. And then they went to Utah, got a big win in Salt Lake, and then right out to Missouri for a pretty decent Missouri State team. It's been a rough stretch. Now they go to South Dakota with an odd scheduling spot here. Early tip. I have no idea what to expect. I'm not going to be on this in any way, but just matchup wise, when you're playing BYU, you have to be able to contain Barcelo in ball screens. Like, he's not real high usage, but he's so efficient. Like, you never see him make a mistake when deciding to pull up or spray the ball around. Creighton is young, but they're pretty athletic on the perimeter, and they're pretty well coached defensively. I think we all think of Creighton as this offensive juggernaut, and they're really not this year. They're actually a pretty decent defensive team. It's not the best matchup for Barcelo, but yeah, I have a tough time with either side of this one.
Yeah, same actually. You're right. It is kind of an odd spot in their schedule too to have this game. One thing that stood out to me, Creighton 227th in tempo. That's a little slower than I thought that they would play with this young team. Gavin, what do you think overall about the game?
Yeah, there's a couple things that kind of really stick out into addition to what we already spoke about. You mentioned the 227 tempo for Creighton. I mean, BYU 300th in average offensive possession length. This game actually might be a little bit slower than people are led to believe. But there's a couple things, like I mentioned, experience difference. BYU 130th versus Creighton at 306. But, BYU's led by, as we mentioned, a 9th-year senior in Barcelo and a senior Milwaukee transfer in Tajon Lucas versus Baby Nemhard and company and the Baby Jays. It's there's a little bit of that. There's the fact that BYU has played the 36th toughest strength of schedule versus Creighton's 246, and I get the coaching differential of Mark Pope over Greg McDermott every day and twice on Sunday. It's, again, kind of a stay away because I want to lean BYU, but as John mentioned, sleepy spot, trying to lay a little bit outside of that safe free throw range, not really trying to get to it from a betting perspective. What I will say is that, you mentioned Gavin Baxter going out for the year. I don't think Richard Harward's coming back anytime soon with kind of that. There's kind of an odd heart issue, but I don't know if BYU isn't better without them. Frankly, when you have guys like Gideon George, Caleb Lohner, Seneca Knight.
You love Lohner.
Bro, okay. Well, I'm not saying that Lohner is going to be, an NBA superstar. What I'm saying is that they become much more switchable 1 through 5 and become a much more versatile team that can play, different bigs on the outside and provide a little bit more spacing for those guards. And we've seen an uptick in the shot rate, not only for Barcelo, but for Lucas as well. So a little bit interesting. I don't know. I'm not really trying to get at it from a betting perspective, but DFS, a little bit different outlook.
This is actually both teams seemingly are much better playing small. Like, Creighton plays Kalkbrenner, a decent amount. He's a true 5, but for the most part, Like BYU's playing Traore, or however you pronounce it. He's like 6'6". Now he's a big.
I didn't even want to try to pronounce his name, so I'm glad that you at least took the lead on it.
I forget how I was watching some game where they pronounced it, and I'm just probably screwing it up. But either way, this is a game where both teams should be able to switch as much as they want. It's you'd think there'd be more size here, but with those injuries, there isn't.
Yeah, true. That kind of leads us into the DFS side of things. I'm not seeing anything that I want on BYU. I think it's a price thing. And with Gideon George coming back, that he just kind of mucks up the rotation. They're going a little deeper now. He kind of killed Spencer Johnson coming back. Johnson was seeing 30, 34 minutes. He played 23 in George's first game back. And then Barcelo's up at 8K. He's a great player. The peripherals are decent. I just don't see Barcelo hammering this slate at 8K, which I think in a 9-game slate, your spend up options are going to need to really pour it on. And I just think that there are better game environments on this slate to have someone go nuts. I know you want to talk about a couple guys on the Creighton side. I'll start with Kalkbrenner, who has been good of late. John made me a bit nervous with the size thing. I'm not sure if they're going to need him for 25 plus minutes here if BYU's a smaller team. But man, he's 21% rebound rate, not shooting a ton, but lots of putbacks, big time block upside, as we know. I think that he'll be popular on the slate. He's very cheap. He's at 4.4. So I think that he'll project well. But the context of the game that John brought up makes me a bit nervous. Who do you like on Creighton here, Gavin?
Let me start on BYU kind of first, but I think Barcelo or the team is relatively straightforward. You mentioned Gideon George coming back, mucks up the front court and renders all those guys kind of GPP dart throws at best. Barcelo is kind of the ultimate cash play. You hit it on the head perfect. Lacks the kind of ceiling to really break the slate and really 5 to 6x where you need it to win a GPP. I'm a little bit more interested in Lucas just because I think that he'll come in at minimally to no owned, and he's hit shots the last couple games. I don't know how sustainable it is going forward, but those are really kind of the only two ways that I'm looking, on the BYU side. So that's easy. But Creighton, I mean, it's got to start with little baby Nembhard. I have him as kind of one of my 3 core guys on the slate. Usage, minutes, assist rate. It should be there. If he goes 2 for 10 and he burns me, so be it. I've done it and been there with Bryce McGowan's last slate. So, but it's just you got to kind of play the floor because the upside, even as a smaller guard, he's got 40-point fantasy upside in this game. So I'm at least interested in that. You mentioned Kalkbrenner. Albert Kaluma's been kind of interesting, man. He's matching Kalkbrenner in a lot of rates recently. Doesn't quite have the minute floor that Kalk has had, but Kaluma's a defensive pest that I think could be utilized quite well against a pretty versatile and a little bit taller front court in Creighton.
Yeah, I had him written down too. Hawkins has been good, but he's up at 7K. The usage is actually the highest on the team. Nembhard stands out to me too. 18% shot rate, 35% assist rate. Just looks really good out there overall. Any last thoughts on this game, John? And any thoughts on I believe it's a freshman Kaluma who has looked good.
Yeah, Gav mentioned Hawkins. To me, he might be the best player. It's hard to say because their rotations haven't been clear so far, but he comes in. He's also old. I think he's a 5th-year senior, a transfer from D2, I believe. But he's kind of made his money as like this mismatch 6'7", like sort of a 4, but also could be a 5 depending on the matchup. But BYU can counter that. They have the guys for that. With Nembhard, BYU defensively is not going to force turnovers. Like they're completely content to sit back, playing drop coverage. They're not trying to trap anybody. So that's good for his turnover maladies, which is to be expected for a freshman. Kaluma, I see He's got a lot of that. A couple of the guys Creighton had last year on the wing, those really ace defenders. It looks like he's going to turn into that. The offensive game is predictably raw, but you can see the upside there.
Yep. Agreed on all that. Our third game, Syracuse at Georgetown, our first actual home game of the slate. Syracuse is a 3-point road fave here, 157 total. So we're going to have to pay attention to this one in DFS. Ken Palm's got it, Syracuse 79-78. Syracuse beat Indiana and Florida State, but got smacked by both Auburn and Villanova, just absolutely crushing those two games. Georgetown's been bad pretty predictably, 2 losses already to sub 200 Ken Palm teams. Not seeing any injuries for guys that, we thought might play in this game. Syracuse 89th in tempo, Georgetown 29th. So this is our second, high paced game. And I do think that Syracuse will run with Georgetown here. John, what do you think overall about the game?
Both teams are so erratic from game to game. Georgetown, you expect it because of the youth and because of the generally kind of discombobulated, dumb style of play. Syracuse has a lot of game-to-game variance because of the zone and just because teams are shooting so many threes against them. Nova put up 50 threes in a game, which it has to be, if not a record, often being close. Athletically, like Georgetown could do a lot of what Nova did on the glass. I mean, they're going to pound the offensive glass. They're going to throw up a shitload of bricks. This is a hard game. Like, it's going to be incredibly fast, but efficiency is going to be a problem, I think, for both teams. Like, this Georgetown team against the zone, they've only seen 30 or so zone possessions this year. It's, as expected, gone pretty poorly. Harris is a really small point guard trying to get into gaps against the Boeheims. I don't know. This is an impossible game to cap for me.
Yeah. On the DFS side of it too, Syracuse is at least really predictable because, they only play 5 guys. Georgetown, their minutes have fluctuated a ton, probably just trying to find the right mix with this kind of younger team. Have you seen any of the 5-star freshman Muhammad yet, John? And what do you think about him?
I have. He's an interesting game. Like, I think he's a lefty. At least he seems to drive left a lot. Very explosive, very athletic, but that the offense isn't really setting him up for success. Like, it's all this dribble drive, putting up very difficult shots. There's no organization. It's kind of Penny Hardaway-like, and just the lack of structure. I'd like to see him in a real offense because you can see some potential there. But as it currently stands, I don't know. Especially in against the zone, not a fan.
Gavin, what do you think overall about the game? And then go right into Syracuse's DFS pieces for us.
Yeah, you got to imagine it's somewhat of a buy low. After Syracuse has looked pretty subpar on national television on a couple of instances. I think the line is already pushing this way. You talk about, or I guess I mentioned the experience last time. Georgetown 317th in experience, Syracuse 66, but the 4 guys of their team, which will curtail very easily into DFS, the 4 guys that are playing 80+% of minutes, Buddy and Jimmy Boeheim, Cole Swider, are all seniors, and then Yolo Joe is a junior. So this is quite a veteran team. They've taken their lumps. Have some of the highest 3-point rate, obviously, against them in the country, just given the zone. Georgetown has been shooting the 3-point pretty well. I think 28th in the country here in terms of 3-point percentage, but with only 213th in terms of offensive assist rate for Georgetown, I think it parlays a lot into what John was mentioning about it. Muhammad is really reliant on, a lot of dribble drive, or if it's not Muhammad, it's Harris, it's Carey, whoever it is. Again, I hate to come on the show and say, yeah, a bunch of these games are kind of meh, betting spots, but I don't really know if I got a super solid take on this one, other than potentially maybe looking under. I know it's high tempo, but these are two teams that can get pretty inefficient at times with the type of shots they take.
Yeah, the only bet I was kind of looking at here would maybe be like a Georgetown team total under, but then Syracuse has just been a sieve defensively, so so it's tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just tough for me to see Georgetown putting up 80 in a game like this. I don't know. For DFS, Alex, who is in the chat, said there's legit 8 guys in play on DraftKings from this game, and I pretty much agree.
Yeah, he's probably right.
I mean, all 5 of the Syracuse guys are in play. I think just because you're going to see, like Gavin said, 35 plus minutes for 4 of them, and that's just gold in DFS, especially in a game with 160 almost total. But he's been kind of cold from the floor lately. I think this is a perfect spot for him to get right. He's been more active dishing out assists lately. He's 41% assist rate, 25% shot rate. The guy who surprised me is his brother. I was not expecting Jimmy Boeheim to play this well to start the year. He's much more shot reliant. So at the same price, definitely Buddy over Jimmy for me. I'm not really a Joe Girard guy. I'm just waiting for the bottom to fall out for him. Swider is going to project well just because of he's just rebounding the shit out of the ball this year. 28% rebound rate last 3. That's just insane. So his floor is going to be really high. I think an interesting decision point, Gavin, is going to be between Swider and Jesse Edwards, who has been really good. I faded him last week when he was uber chalk and he just shit right on my chest. That sucked. His like 7 steal game, that was brutal. But he isn't shooting much. It's mostly rebounds and dunks and blocks. But that can really get you there at 5K in a game like this, where there's going to be a lot of, like John said, a lot of missed shots, especially on the Georgetown side. Gavin, I'll let you walk through Georgetown since I'm not as confident in any of these guys, even though I know that they're going to project well. I've got concerns with the matchup with Muhammad, and then just kind of the size of their guards really against the zone. What do you think?
Yeah, Georgetown's kind of one of these, I feel like, relatively straightforward teams. A couple of these budget guys, Caden Rice, grad transfer, are going to look good based on their rates from the last 3 games. You got to remember they played 3 mid-majors in Longwood, South Carolina, and UMBC. And yes, I did just call South Carolina a mid-major because they should be fortunate to be called a mid-major at this point. But it really comes down to Muhammad, Harris, and Carey for me, right? Muhammad's probably going to be the strongest cash piece, given he gives you the best floor about the other guys. However, I worry a little bit about the peripheral upside, given the upped competition. I feel like he had 8 rebounds and 10 rebounds against Longwood and UMBC. Can he sustain it against Syracuse? Syracuse's zone has 100% been susceptible to rebounding. We just saw them get American Psycho dismemberment on the boards by Villanova. So, maybe there is some upside there, but, Carey feels kind of like one of those super meth 5K to 5.5K ish guys that I just feel like you got to go for more ceiling than what he offers. So for me, it comes down to Young Bucks and Muhammad or Harris.
Yeah, I think I'd rather get to Harris. I just think he has more upside personally. And the 40% assist rate kind of gives him a higher ceiling if he does have a good scoring game. Any last thoughts on this one, John? And then we'll move on.
Yeah, I'm outside my comfort zone, obviously, with DFS, but I did briefly look at the prices. And Rice at 4,100, there's no question he's going to get his opportunities against the zone. Like, he's a big 6'7" shooter. Like, he should get maybe 9-10 looks from 3. He was an okay shooter at Citadel, playing in an extremely high volume system, kind of a 35% shooter there. He's like 45% this year on pretty high volume. I think he leads the Big East in attempts. So he's going to get his looks. But yeah, it's a question of whether Georgetown can actually generate open looks in the half court.
Yeah. Actually, I meant to bring him up, so I'm glad that you did. I was just looking at his game log here. Man, so he really only shoots threes.
Yeah.
10 of 12 against UMBC. Wow. So yeah, he is definitely in play at 4-1. Going to be one of those shot reliant GPP pieces, I think. But in a game environment like this, he could definitely pay off and more. Our next game, worst game on the slate for DFS so far, probably best real life game, Wisconsin at Ohio State. I'm seeing Ohio State minus 4.5, 136.5 total. Ken Palm's got it. Ohio State 70-66. Wisconsin just absolutely tore out my soul holding Indiana +5 the other night. That was brutal. It's the second time they've done that. I had Texas A&M against them in the game where they were down big in the first half and did the exact same thing. They're 8-0 with John Davis. I wasn't very high on Wisconsin coming in, but man, they've impressed me so far. Well, John Davis has impressed me so far. And then on the Ohio State side, they've got the two great wins against Duke and Seton Hall. That Seton Hall wins looking better and better every day. Suing remains out. And then on tempo, Wisconsin 313, Ohio State 240. So much slower than like the Nebraska game and the Georgetown game. What are you seeing here game-wise, John?
I have a little bit of interest in Ohio State, but not at 4.5. It's on my very tepid lean list if it gets to 3, but anything beyond a full possession, I'm not going to be interested. Wisconsin feels, and I was higher than the field on them coming into the year, but it feels like they've already blown up. You're already seeing a team that's like, it seems like it's peaking already. I wonder how much better can they get. Like Davis looks the part of the first team all conference stud, but the pieces around him are still kind of mediocre relative to the rest of the top teams in the Big Ten. So yeah, it's a true road game. I rate these teams basically dead even. So 4.5 is a tad too high, but there's no reason for me to get involved with Wisconsin right now. I would need way more points than what they're getting at the moment.
Yeah, I'm in kind of the same spot because I'm trying to look for a spot to be on the other side of Wisconsin, but I'm a huge fan of Ohio State overall. Maybe this is like a live look if Wisconsin gets up early or something and you get a good number on Ohio State. What do you think, Gavin?
As crazy it is to say for a defensive-minded, slow-tempo team like Wisconsin, I've just been live betting them this entire year because they continue to have these big swings. And, they talk about, Ohio State is the 9th largest arena in the country. Ken Palm has it rated as the 35th best home court advantage, 3.9 points. So we're basically calling these teams even on a neutral. Okay, so maybe I lean Ohio State slightly. I tend to think it'll still come back a little bit towards Ohio State after, I guess hopefully Wisconsin implanting that, moment in people's minds of coming back from Indiana. But I just think that Ohio State better, just all around team. Wisconsin is so heavily guard focused with Davison and Johnny Davis having to make not only shots, but relatively difficult, contested, long range shots. And like you said, there's going to come a point where it's to fade Wisconsin, but it's not at 4.5 at Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree there. I can't believe, John shit on the rest of the Wisconsin lineup. I'm surprised you didn't come to the defense of your boy, Tyler Wall there.
They're only 290th in bench minutes. So, Greg Gard must love his bench as well.
And
yeah,
what's strange for Wisconsin, who generally has generated pretty good shots over the years, shot quality, tracks, shot selection, they're 307th in shot selection. So to Gavin's point, wow. Yeah, it's a shitload of really tough shots. Ohio State's, they're not, I wouldn't say they're big, but they're well coached. They're not going to make mistakes defensively. Like, I don't know. This feels like
that they really don't have a perimeter nose in your chest defender.
Yeah.
Between Branham, Michi Johnson, so I don't know who guards either one of Johnny Davis or Brad Davison, but
yeah, that's true.
I just feel like this is, and look, if EJ Liddell is not going for Ohio State at any given point, Ohio State is dead on arrival.
Yeah.
Full stop. So
yeah.
it's just, I think, just live betting opportunity.
Yeah, that shot quality stat that you threw out, John, that sounded like Texas last night, man. They just took a lot of long twos. That was brutal.
Whenever Trey Mitchell wasn't bunnying it at the rim.
Yeah. All right. So real quick on the DFS side, because I don't think that there are many options outside of John Davis. We've got our friend Barrick in the chat. He's asking, Gavin, are you plugging in? And he has a nickname for John Davis. It's John Big Dick Swinging Davis.
I mean, have you not watched the guy play this year? He's kind of rightfully owned the name. At least the fact that he's over 8K now, you at least have to think about it in terms of what you're giving up to get to him over some of the mid 7K guys that are pretty well priced.
Yeah.
And I look, it's actually disgusting to say, but Brad Davison is a solid GPP piece. Pretty much every slate. Yes, he is.
I can't play him.
He is. It doesn't matter because he has legit 20 to 25 point real upside, 5+ assists upside, couple steals, like with 3-point. I mean,
yeah,
he can do it.
He is shooting more than I thought he would this year. He's got a 22% shot rate.
Yeah, well, it's his 14th and final year in college. He's like, fuck this. I'm going to chuck them all up. Like, this Johnny Davis guy ain't going to take my shots in my last year. But Tyler Wall's been, stuffing the stat sheet. I mean, he's in that kind of, 5 to 5.5K range where just a bunch of high minute, high floor, low ceiling cucks. I don't even want to deal with that. I'm out on all of them.
I really like Wall as a player within that offense. Like, they like inverting him. They get him matched up with guards.
Yeah.
But like, you're not going to post Liddell or post Young or Zed Key. So
no. And that's a good transition to the Ohio State side. We got EJ Liddell at 9,500. So you're going to have to choose like Jabari or EJ Liddell. And that's going to be a tough call. I think the game environment for me has me leaning Jabari just because I think that game could legit have 20 plus more points in it than this one. But, I've faded EJ a couple times a couple weeks ago, and man, he just shoves it right down your throat.
My hairline recedes every time I fade EJ. I can't do it anymore.
I think Gavin was ahead of the game on this. He was really, he's obviously been awesome, top 5 player in the country, I think, so far. But he was really being buoyed by these like high block games. And his block rate has kind of normalized a bit, and you've seen his scores come down the last 2. So John, you get 2 points for every block. So it's basically like an extra bucket. So, these 6 and 8 block games, it's like he's scoring an extra 15 points. So I think with that normalizing a bit, that makes the EJ fade a little less ass puckering, but man, he could definitely crush you here at home. The only other interesting guy for me is Zed Key, just because he played so well. His minutes have been kind of fluctuating, and then they used him more, and he was the star in their last game. He was really good. So I think that he's going to see 25 plus minutes here. He's under 5K. Good rebounder. He's impressed me. His offensive game is a little bit better than I thought he was coming in. What do you think about Key as a player, John?
I like him. I wasn't totally sure heading into the season just because it's another kind of back to the basket guy. Like Kyle Young, at least up until this year, had shown nothing on the perimeter. He was just kind of a hustle player, offensive rebounds, tap the ball out. So I wasn't sure about having another sort of undersized big in there. And Liddell, we knew about his perimeter game, but no, Key has taken a huge step forward. I mean, it's a great front court. Like it's right up there, maybe just a tick below, a little bit below Purdue, maybe, but not by much.
Yeah, if they only had a good guard to pair with that.
What's the problem? For Wisconsin tomorrow, I don't know what they do matchup wise with Liddell. They can't play the 2 stiff 7-footers. Like Liddell's obviously way too
You can't put Chris Vogt on him?
Or Steve Kroll. Yeah, that's a non-starter. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. So just last note before we move on the DFS side, Ohio State's got a couple cheap guys who are going to project well, but would terrify the shit out of me to use in Arns and Branham. Arns just because he's going to shoot threes, and if he hits them, he'll pay off. If he doesn't do anything else, and then Branham's just kind of on the court, as we like to say, getting the cardio in, wind sprinter. You don't get points for that on DraftKings. Moving on, our next game, Arkansas, Oklahoma. This is a quote unquote neutral game in Tulsa. Oklahoma has impressed me defensively so far this year. The line's Oklahoma -1.5, 143 total. Ken Palm's got it Arkansas 73-70. Arkansas is obviously undefeated so far. They've been impressive. They beat Kansas State and Cincy are the two top 100 wins. Oklahoma they lost at home to Butler in that last game. That was kind of odd. Maybe a bit of a letdown spot after the Florida win. They've held 8 of their last 9 opponents, or I guess their 9 opponents on the season, to 70 points or less. So that kind of harkens back to what I was saying. Really interesting mix of tempos here. Arkansas, obviously a top 20 tempo team. Oklahoma's going to rely on their defense and 250th in tempo. What do you think about that with the matchup, John? And what do you think about the game overall?
Real quick. Let me just jump in to provide some Oklahoma context. Okay,
from the Oklahoma State guy
perspective. So Tulsa, Tulsa is not an OU friendly city at all. Tulsa is Oklahoma State. You fly into the Tulsa airport, there's Oklahoma State wallpaper in every which direction. You fly into Oklahoma City, it's OU. OU is about an hour and 30 from Tulsa. So Ken Palm's going to call it semi-neutral. We just went to a game where from Spokane to Seattle, there was 24,000 of the 25,000 people were Gonzaga fans. I don't know if it's as big of a home court. It's going to be a little bit, but I think semi-neutral is still relatively fair to call it.
I actually expect at worst 50-50 with maybe a little bit of an Arkansas lean. It's less than 2 hours from Fayetteville. And that's
Arkansas's right on the east border too.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That Arkansas fan base is absolutely nuts, and they're going to travel. So I think it's maybe a split crowd. I was surprised. It's so rare these days for games to open more than a point or two off the Ken Palm number. So for Oklahoma to open as a 3.5 point favorite stunned me. And it kind of stuck because I was interested in them as a dog, and they may still get there. But yeah, Steve, as you said, this is a big tempo clash. Spot-wise, Oklahoma off of an awful, awful home loss outright to Butler. So I think the spot favors them. Arkansas has done this thing where they kind of play with their food for most of the game, and then you get one big run at the end against inferior competition. But they're not going to be able to do that tomorrow. Porter Moser with some prep time, he's going to slow them down, force them to execute in half court. This is another team with pretty shaky shot selection, which has been a problem for most of them every year. So I have
no way with Likes and Note. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and Devo Davis, these guys will take some pretty shitty shots. Oklahoma isn't going to punish you on the glass or anything like that, but they're going to make you execute. So I kind of lean, they're going to make you make jumpers, which for Arkansas is certainly a challenge. So I kind of lean Oklahoma, but it has to be as a dog.
Yeah. Some quick stats I wrote down that jumped out to me. Arkansas third in defensive rebound percentage, 307th in 3-point percentage. Kind of aligns with what you're saying. Not a great shooting team. They do force teams into a lot of threes, 46.5% 3-point attempts as a percentage of their overall field goal attempts. Oklahoma 280th on the offensive boards. So that lines up well for Arkansas's defensive rebound stats. But they're really strong inside, second in 2-point percentage, which, it kind of lines up with their style of scorers. You got Umoja Gibson, Goldwire, who are more, score inside than shooters. Gavin, what do you think about the game? And there are definitely some underpriced guys on Arkansas. So why don't you go through those as well.
All right, this time I'll try to get to the context plus the DFS because I know I shortchanged it last time. But Arkansas coming in undefeated. Look, they've played two teams inside the Ken Pom top 70, both on neutrals. They squeaked out an 8-point win against K-State. They beat Cincy, by 6 down to the wire. Which remember when we were live betting that thing?
That was hairy. Yeah.
This is the 5th team that OU's faced in the KP top 100. It's I guess technically the 2nd team in the top 25 after OU beat Florida on the road. But yeah, you want to talk about coaches with prep. Muss with prep is not someone I'm typically looking to fade. But on the same token, I think this kind of matches up relatively well with Oklahoma stylistically. That being said, I don't know if there's a better team in college basketball to be live betting than Arkansas. I mean, it is literally just the perfect live team to bet on. So
yeah, run after
I'm
run.
probably going to wait because either get punched in the mouth early and get down 20 and get it down to 6 at some point, and we can kind of live bet it. But pre-flop, I probably lean Oklahoma, as much as that pains me to say, being a former Oklahoma State guy. But that's kind of where I stand on the game. That being said, on the DFS side, we definitely got to go here. So the Arkansas guards, I don't know why DraftKings hates Arkansas guards. JD Note is the easiest play on the slate, bar none. He has been for the last 4 slates that he's been on. It's starting to become comical and somewhat disgusting to continue to see them price in below 6K. But here we are. So we're playing them. You talk about the other 3 main guards in Devo Davis, Audius Tony, Chris Likes. Boy, I love me some Devo Davis, boy. What a savage of a grown-ass man playing against a bunch of kids, even as a 19-year-old. Like, I love Devo as a GPP guy. Probably not core to a single line or a 3 max or even a 5 max, but Audius has some upside. Probably the random game that he does smash, I can't get on it, but I really like Likes as a budget play. This is probably kind of the first, just above 4K guy that I'm starting to seriously consider. His minutes are getting upticked. You wish that he was taller than 5'4", but he's still a dynamic guy who, in the scope of the Arkansas offense, it's probably going to be more difficult to get to the rim and try to create that penetration and kick out. But I still think Likes is wholly in play at 4-2.
Yeah, same. John, for some context, JD Note is the same price as Tyler Wall. So going to be a lock on this slate, I think. He just shoots so much. 26% shot rate on the season, playing nearly every minute. You just don't get that under 6K on DraftKings very often. Price right next to my guy, Audius Tony. I've got fond memories of him from Pitt, where he won me a couple slates and a seat to the DK Mania. Also playing every minute, 37, 38. It's kind of odd to see, after last year, Muss was basically playing Moses the whole game and then rotating 9 other guys 20 minutes. He's really condensed this rotation. He's kicked goofy ass Vanover out of the rotation. And so their last game, he played Note 36, Tony 37, Chris Likes 30, Devo 34, and Jalen Williams 32. I think all of these guys are in play. I wish Tony was shooting more. 10% shot rate on the season seems a little low, but then, like John was saying, he's around guys like Likes and Note who are going to take every shot that they can. So DFS wise, I think they're all in play. Note being like a core. Likes at 4-2, definitely gonna be popular.
He finally figured out that Amude was not Mude.
Yeah. His
Stanley Amude has been pretty much booted from the core rotation.
Yeah,
so he's kind of out of play at his price, not even in consideration for MME.
Yeah. 24 to 19 to 10 minutes last 3, just kind of being phased out.
We didn't mention Jalen Williams.
Yeah, dude.
5.4K.
He just doesn't shoot. 7% shot rate on the season.
It's one of those plays where just get 2 to 3x on the field for projected ownership, which will probably be between 4 to 7%, and just ride it from there. But but interesting. I think he's got some upside.
Yeah,
here.
He's got rebound and block upside, I guess.
I think I think that although it's still a Porter Moser led defense, that second best in the country 2-point defensive percentage, when you lose Kawath and Groves is your main big with Jalen Hill, I still think that number is pretty squishy. So we'll see.
I get the game theory perspective on Jalen Williams, but I've watched Moser take out so many elite post players, like not just Kofi, but so many over the years. Like his schemes, it's the fronting, the doubling, like it's incredible how he can make elite bigs look horrible. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a good point.
If you're Porter Moser, you got all those Arkansas guys. You worried about Jalen Williams?
Yeah,
I get it. I'm more worried about how the hell am I going to stop these guys? And even I was kind of surprised for a Musselman-led team. I mean, they're do I have right here 307th in 3-point percentage and 310th in 3-point rate?
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, you're playing Note and Devo 35 a game, and neither of them are perimeter shooters.
It shouldn't be too dissimilar from what Bama does in terms of it's a super high 3 and rim rate. And, you kind of see where the chips fall where they may at those given prices.
They just don't have the shooters that Bama does.
310th in 3-point rate for a Musselman team is wild when he's consistently at least within the top 250. I don't know. That's maybe I'm crazy.
And then just real quick on the OU side, it is a pace up spot, but I don't love the pricing on anyone here. You've got Tanner Groves priced at 7.8. I know that you like him more than I do, Gavin. He's just soft as
Groves and Buddy feel like two of those guys that feel like safe plays that are going to garner a lot of ownership.
Yeah, Groves has been better the last couple games.
He's finally below AK. He's in a pace up against a 3-point friendly team. In terms of Arkansas will allow you to shoot a lot of threes. I'm trying to look for the 3-point defense, but so he's at least going to have opportunities. And Jalen Williams is fleet of foot, but Groves is tough to guard, 23 feet in. So, maybe he's got some upside finally getting a price down from being a 9K guy where it was just like, okay, really? We're going to play Oscar Sheboy at 9.2 or we're going to play Tanner Groves at 9K. Come on.
And the big thing for me with Groves is he was seeing, 25, 28 minutes. Saw 37 last game. I think that was an overtime game though. So that might be skewing the minutes a bit. And then below there, Jalen Hill is going to project well, but I'm just not paying
over 6K. No, thanks.
I'm just not paying 6K for a guy who's going to attempt 3 or 4 shots in the game. Harkless is priced out for me. Just doesn't. He's a great defender, but again, you don't get points for that on Draftkings. Nothing will make you limp faster than putting Jordan Goldwire on your team. Definitely not using him. You play Emoji Gibson more than I do, Gavin. He's a little shot reliant for me, above 5K, but this is a good pace game. It's a game that I could see him succeeding.
GPP guy. He's similar to Goldwire in that they're kind of specialists. They're going to get 30 minutes. If Umoja is hitting his threes, then he's going to return value. If Goldwire is racking up multi-steal game and getting a couple buckets, he's going to return value. If not, then they're just in that dead man's 5K range.
Agreed. Any last thoughts on this one, John, before we move on to Clemson?
Yeah, I think Groves almost single-handedly, you guys already mentioned that Vanover has fallen out of the rotation, but even if he hadn't, I think Groves single-handedly forces Arkansas to play small tomorrow. He's so versatile. He stretches the floor so much. And they'll play Shagwell 12, 15 minutes. He also has a track record of being a stretch 5. So I think Arkansas has to, and they can do it. They have enough versatile pieces. Kind of think they have to go small pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so next game is Clemson and Drake. I think this is the worst game on the slate for DFS. I hate Clemson. Clemson is a 2-point favorite. This is a neutral in Atlanta. This is part of that same 4-game deal in Atlanta. 137 total. Ken Palm's got it. Clemson 71-68. Clemson has lost 4 out of their last 5 after they were playing well early in the year when Nick Honor was hitting every shot that he took. He has turned back into a pumpkin, predictably. No top 100 wins for Clemson. Drake has that win over Richmond, and then losses to Belmont and Bama. So, no harm there losing to those 2 teams. Those are 2 good teams. Clemson 274 tempo, Drake 204. So a slower game here with 2 pretty good defensive teams. What do you think overall, John?
This was the first bet I made today, like 3:00 this afternoon. I played the under when it opened, 138.5. Shot quality projects this around 128. And that's with a lot of the Roman Penn stuff baked in for Drake. He's pretty much the quintessential, like really high floor, kind of average ceiling point guard. Floor general, gets the ball where it needs to go. He's out for the foreseeable future with another foot injury. And without him, Drake does not have a shot creator. And to not have a shot creator against Clemson, who is as physical in the half court as anybody in the country other than maybe Houston, I think they're in for a world of hurt in what's going to turn into a half court game. At the other end, Drake loves extending pressure, but it's not run and jump. It's not forcing turnovers. It's just taking time off the clock. Clemson not going to be in a hurry, and they are so primed for 3-point regression. They're right now, I think, 7th or 8th in the country in threes.
Yeah, it's all Nick Honor, man. Just tilting the shit out of me as chalk in 5 out of 6.
That will regress. Shot quality's regression. Only UNC has more regression right now priced in than Clemson. So that should fall back into the mid-30s. Hey, who says it's tomorrow? I mean, he might go nuts again. But to me, that total is like 7-8 points too high.
Yeah. Have you watched Clemson much? What do you think about the PJ Hall kid?
Yeah, I think he's a pretty solid, true traditional 5. But if Drake is going to play Darnell Brody, hopefully 25, 30 minutes, he's kind of a check on Hall. Like, you can overwhelm Brody. Brody can't jump over a phone book. Like, he is completely immobile. But Hall isn't a particularly great athlete. So that's kind of a wash.
Right. Gavin, what do you think about the game? I'm probably honestly going to pass on this game DFS wise. There's just so many games with pace that we want to attack that, a Clemson game on a 9-game slate, unless there's some egregious pricing error, probably not going to go there. What do you think?
I think, I can tell you by the numbers, this is the second worst game to play in terms of the DFS slate. Frankly, I think this is the lowest scoring game of the slate because the Clemson offense has been highly efficient, to date. But I still trust the efficiency of the offenses of Wisco and Ohio State more than I definitely do of these 2. It's been a little bit weird. We mentioned Roman Penn. Okay, so this year – Drake is 346th in assist rate in the country. All right. Now, for some context, like 2 years ago when Roman Penn was fully healthy, okay, he had only one other guy shoot above 40% from 3 that year. So it's not like they had a bunch of just light him up dudes where he just fed assists everywhere. The team still had the 12th best assist rate in the country. So it's not – I'm not really looking to play on Drake at this point. I don't know where this team is at, especially being a little bit more kind of front court focused without Roman Penn against. Look, PJ Hall and Hunter Tyson are not going to be, stalwart NBA players by any means. Are they serviceable, kind of relatively 3-and-D, bigs in the college game? Yeah, they can kind of make it work. I lean Clemson a little bit. It's, it's like, oh, just take the 2.5 on the favorite in the neutral. It kind of seems fishy, but the arrow for me on Drake is not going up. That's for sure.
That's true. Yeah. I usually just personally don't get involved in Clemson games very often unless it's the under. That's what I was doing on my phone. There was tailing you on that bet, John.
It's I mean, if Nick Honor comes out and hits 6 threes again, that's going to be a little bit tilting from
Yeah,
both.
it will. Well,
Remember when
it's already
I think
happened
it
twice
was,
this year, so you just bend over and take it.
I think it was Jim Root who posted like the top 10 rebound rates in the entire country, and it was like Garrett Sturtz was on the list. We're like, okay, we need to grab a little bit more sample size.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's 5K and he grabbed 18 rebounds against our brother Deafblind and Christian, whatever it was. So, we'll see.
Yeah, just real quick. I think PJ Hall, if you want to go to someone in this game, played 36 minutes in the last game. I think that there's some risk with his minutes overall, just because they've changed up the rotations a bit throughout the season. On the Drake side, Tucker DeVry is projecting well. Since Penn went out, his shot rate is up to 23%. So he's really letting it fly lately. I don't know much about him in general. John, why don't you, if you know much about DeVry, let us know, and then we'll move on from this awful game.
Drake would never have ended up with him. He was a top 100, depending where you look, recruit, but it helps having dad as the coach. So he's
Daddy's son. Yeah. Hey.
a pretty unique talent for them. And it's an interesting transition because Drake, my whole knock on them in the preseason was this team is old as shit. Like all these guys are 24, somebody's 25. Like you saw their ceiling last year and it was great. They were a fun team to watch, but they're not.
He's a freshman. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. So having him now become the go-to kind of infuses some new life into them. But yeah, schematically, this is a pretty rough matchup.
Yep. So we'll move on. UCLA at Marquette. Really cool that UCLA is coming to play this game. Our friend Matt Gajeski, who works at Awesemo, I think is going to go to the game. So good for him. UCLA's 5-point favorite, 151.5 total. Ken Palm's got it UCLA 80-73. UCLA's got the neutral loss where they just got dick kicked by Gonzaga. Wins over Nova and Colorado are both pretty good. Marquette's at home here, like I said, 4 top 100 wins already. They've played better than I thought they would to start the year. Respectable losses to the Bonnies and Wisconsin so far. Gavin, you might have more on this. I saw Cody Riley might try to play here. I thought he was going to be out way longer than this. I think he had the MCL.
I heard getting close. I don't know if it's going to be this game, but I heard he's definitely in discussion for the next couple. You definitely got to keep in, unless John has something more real time than me.
UCLA 136 in tempo, Marquette 4th in tempo. So Shaka back to his old tricks back home. John, what do you think?
What I read, I think on Riley last night, and I wish I'd written it down or kept something, but I seem to remember them suggesting that he might play a little bit, but it was going to be a really slow thing. Mick Cronin is a notorious liar with this stuff. So
that is true.
I wish I could have seen the video, like the press conference of him saying it, and get a little better sense of the body language as opposed to just reading it online. Yeah.
You are an expert at that. I've seen that on Twitter.
And that is a fun hobby of mine, is to figure that out. My wife really is not a big fan of it, but fortunately she's never lied in her life, so it's not a problem. But anyway, Shaka, I wish I pulled the stat on him as an underdog the last 6-7 years. Like he has absolutely crushed it. He is the guy who gets them ready to go against superior competition. So I'm hoping for a 6 here. It's still 5.5 across the board, but at 6, I would like to play Marquette, UCLA. Everyone pretty much agreed it was overrated in the preseason. It still feels like they're a little bit overrated. Marquette can get the game going up and down, frenetic, and they have the size to deal with UCLA, who's just a huge, other than Tiger, who's just a huge team overall.
Yeah. As far as the DFS, UCLA, the entire season has been overpriced. I'm not sure what's going on with the DK algorithm there, but you're seeing, Ju Zhang is probably the best play at 7.6, but Jaime Jaquez priced basically where, like almost to where EJ Liddell is egregious. He's a good player. Did he get hurt in that last game or something?
No, UNLV He got like basically elbowed in the forehead by I think it was Peyton Watson. But
Okay. Yeah,
he
because I'm
came
seeing
out with a big old
7 minutes here.
knot on his head for like the second half, and then he was kind of out of it the next two games, and then played like 7 minutes, whatever was the most
Yeah.
recent game.
Huh.
I don't
Interesting.
think I don't have any concern with his injury right now. That's a tough blue collar dude. Like
Yeah,
he's going
that's
to be
true.
fine, and if this game is competitive, he's going to play max minutes.
Yeah, so I think Juzang is an interesting play here. Shot rate is obviously through the roof, and he's been so the knock on him early in the season and coming in was how much was he going to contribute besides scoring? The last couple games, 17% rebound rate, 25% assist rate. I'm not sure how real that is, but it's at least encouraging, right? It's something that you can look at there. I think he would be my preferred play if going to UCLA. Jules, my guy, finally getting the 32 plus minutes. I'm a big fan of Jules Bernard. I think he's a fine play too. And then on Marquette, I'll let Gavin slobber on Justin Lewis. I think he's a good play too. He's been just ridiculously awesome this year. Cam Jones, I wish I had the balls to play him in that slate earlier this week. He looks pretty good. The freshman, he's super cheap again. He's 4'2", played 24, 31, and 26 minutes last three. Kind of a shot only guy, like a 3-point guy. And this is a big game, but like Gavin and I have talked about in the past, I like playing these bit players more at home than on the road for sure. I just think that it's a comfortability thing, or there's just something to it. Like guys who are the fourth, fifth option on a team, I think just tend to play better at home. That might be just me blowing smoke out of my ass, but I think that is definitely in play. Gavin, what do you got for this game overall, and then in DFS as well?
Because going into the season, I mean, look, I was of the camp of, is UCLA good? Sure. Are they one of the better teams in the country? 100%. Should they be a top 5 team? I don't know if I was skeptical because my diploma says USC, or because I felt like they were literally a bucket or two away from not even making it into the actual tournament and losing the first 4. But Johnny Juzang just hasn't missed a contested long two since it felt like March of last year. So, UCLA is – it's kind of surprising just how fast-paced a Mick Cronin team is. I think I at least commend him in understanding that, look, if I got guys like Johnny, guys like Tiger, guys like Jules who can literally run it up the court with a pretty versatile, 5 in – Jaime Jaquez, like it's an interesting team with a strong mix, and I think that they only get stronger with Cody Riley. Cody Riley doesn't need to play 32 minutes. He needs to play 20 to 23. He needs to be an elite interior defender, and that's it. And we can kind of go from there. Now, you want to talk about, Marquette, as John said, like Shaka, you want to talk about Shaka going back to being a dog at VCU. Like Shaka's a bet on guy as a dog, much less when they're at home. UCLA, the thing is that they're the 12th best team in terms of allowing turnovers. Teams aren't turning them over very much, and Marquette, has to rely on that a good amount to at least create some offense. Justin Lewis, obviously, from my lips and John's lips to God's ears, has been a commendable factor of Marquette. Maybe Shaka continues to play him more than 30 minutes, understanding that he's a first league all-caliber player. But when it comes to DFS, it's pretty straightforward. When Juzang and Jules and Tiger are all that close, you take Juzang because he's got legitimate 30 real point upside. You kind of chuck the rebounding rate to the wind. If he grabs them, great. He's probably not, but you're just relying on the shot rate. Tiger is overpriced at his budget, and Jules, we like Jules under 7K. Not as much Jules for me. Jaquez got to include in the GBP pool, but non-core option at his price.
Yeah. And then just talk real quick about Marquette. Anything that you like there? Justin Lewis's price has kind of stayed the same the last week. So you can talk about that. And then I want to ask John about how he thinks UCLA is going to handle the press.
Lewis is always under-owned, especially when he's in that kind of low mid 7K range. And there's nobody in the country as big of a Justin Lewis guy as myself. And so I'm definitely going to.
I don't know. He might be on this show with us.
Yeah. No, John was there with me too. I don't want to leave you out. No, you're definitely there. Justin Lewis, 7.5, that's fine. Morcell, 7K, out. Tyler Kolek, 6'4", out. So it pretty much comes down to Cam Jones or Justin Lewis. Do you want to take the disgusting triple condom stab with Kirk Huoth? Not for me, but for others, maybe. Marquette's pretty straightforward. It's 2 of the 3 guys.
Yeah. All right, John. I just wanted to ask you real quick about UCLA with the press, and then we'll move on. We got 2 more games, I think.
Well, it's a small sample because teams are very hesitant to press UCLA because Tiger's so good with the ball and they're so athletic on the wing. But right now, if you look at Synergy press offense, they're the number 2 press offense. They've turned it over less than anyone. But
wow,
Marquette press at home is going to be a different animal. Marquette, I know it's counterintuitive with all the talent UCLA has, but Marquette has to make this game insane. Like if you just let UCLA execute in the half court, get to their spots, like they're going to bury you. So yeah. it has to be insane and just hope that you can get hot because, I mean, Marquette's, their defense in ISO is not good, which is what UCLA's bread and butter is. They create mismatches and they will just pick out a matchup and keep going to it. It's a hard matchup scheme-wise. I just have this thing with Marquette as a dog here. We'll see. It probably ends up getting.
Yeah, this just seems like a game where we could see Juzang take like 20 shots here.
And he's gonna get matchups against Kolek or against Greg Elliott. Like
the question is, who has Morcell? Does Tiger draw Morcell? Because Juzang is twice as in play if he doesn't have to worry about Morcell.
Yeah, I would try and cut Tiger. To me, makes the whole thing go. I would try and cut him off.
Yeah. Right. I tend to believe the same thing too.
Yeah. All right, cool. We'll move on to the worst game on the slate, for an actual game. So we'll make this one quick. Mizzou at Kansas. Mizzou is just god awful. Kansas is minus 23 here, 143.5 total when I wrote this down. Ken Palm's got it. KU 82-62. Mizzou's just gotten absolutely blasted by every top 100 team that they play. They lost to UMKC. KU got tripped up.
Top team, UMKC. That's what I just heard. Yep.
KU got tripped up by Dayton in that tournament, but they've bounced back pretty nicely since then. Really like what I've seen from them overall. Big Dave comes in here questionable with an ankle. I think he's going to play. And then Jerron Coleman's out for Mizzou. Mizzou 220th in tempo, KU 57th in tempo. You can see that if you watch them, they're just really pushing the ball, which is nice to see. But I think it's hurt Big Dave's minutes a bit. He just can't play 30 plus in that tempo, I don't think. Mizzou 314th in effective field goal percentage, 353rd 3-point percentage, 313th in turnover percentage. So this is just a terrible offensive team. KU 6th in effective field goal percentage, 4th in 2-point percentage. John, what do you think about the game overall quickly, and any bets on this one?
Yeah, while we're on the topic of bad teams real quick, Memphis just lost at home outright to Murray State. So just figured I'd mention
I saw DePaul.
So Penny is going to triple down on his comments, blasting his old guys.
Yeah, I can't believe Tech lost to Memphis. God damn it.
You really
keep the Twitter feed live because Penny is coming with some heat.
DePaul also went to Louisville and won.
Yeah,
that's a good win for them.
They're interesting. But with Missouri, it's basically mid-major guards and like a third or fourth option with Kobe Brown, and that's it. And I don't know, the market shaded the line towards Kansas already. Like Ken made it 20. I thought maybe it would open 21 or so, and I would have been interested there. But at 23, I would need that to come down a little bit. But it's Kansas or nothing. Missouri's going to take horrible shots. Kansas will get runouts. The rivalry thing to me doesn't mean much. Like Missouri's, they're going to be up for it, but that only takes you so far when your talent was that bad and your coaching is pretty bad.
So the big thing in DFS so far this year for Kansas has been the emergence of Christian Brown. He's been awesome. What do you think about him overall and Kansas as a team? Top 5, you think?
Yeah, I put them. I think I said something this morning. Like my top 10 are all within 4. With Purdue losing last night, moving down a little bit, I think I docked them like a 1.5 or something. So like my top 10 are within 4 points of each other. And Kansas is right in the middle of that. I played them, I think, like 14-1 to win the title. So yeah, and I like Brown for sure. His emergence, they're more balanced than I would have expected. I was afraid they were going to be too McCormick centric, but it's good right now.
They've been anything but McCormick centric.
I know.
Boy, this guy just fouls out like this. Jesus.
I thought for sure this would be the Remy and Big Dave show, and it just hasn't been. It's been Ochai, who's been amazing, and Brown, who's just taken a huge step, kind of to the detriment of Jalen Wilson, who we were high on last year. He just can't get on the court because Brown's playing so well, can't really blame him there. For DFS, Kobe Brown's going to project really well just because he does everything for this team. But I can just see them losing this game by 30 and kind of packing it in early. I would be kind of scared to pay 8-2 for Kobe Brown.
Pay me enough to pay over 8K for Kobe Brown and a shit team total.
Yeah, I mean his rates are off the chart. Last 3 he's got a 39% rebound rate. Let me pull up his box score real quick.
When everybody else on your team is 5'8", you better grab all the rebounds or you're going to be a dead man walking. I mean, Bill Self, are him and Chris Beard drinking the same water that if a Ferrari drops in your driveway on Christmas randomly, you don't know how to drive it? Like Bill Self is like, Remy Martin, just go stand off to the side, and Chris Beard's like, Marcus Carr, just go stand off to the side.
Marcus Carr's usage last night was infuriating. Kobe Brown 44 rebounds last 3 games against nobodies, but so I'm not playing Kobe Brown.
Here's the thing, especially if McCormick isn't going to play 30 like he continually has had, and he had that weird ankle flare up, what is this a spot where Jalen Wilson finally gets out of the freaking doghouse? Like, he got 20 minutes in the last game, but he didn't really impress, so he didn't really kind of take advantage of his added doghouse opportunity first from the DUI. So
yeah, the only issue on the DFS side for that is that he's not cheap. So so this for me is Agbaji or Brown or move on, but kind of tough for me to take guys in what is going to be a 22-23 point spread when we got all these close high tempo games. You could get a blowout here and you see these guys play less than 30 minutes and then you're just drawn dead.
Agbaji is kind of in the pool for me for Barcelo. You're going to get 30 out of him.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably not going to get 50. Just kind of play the cash value, take the money, and go.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I know at this point he hasn't really been used, and his totals are nothing. But in a blowout, I mean, Self could give Yesufu some run, right? Like, he was an explosive player last year in a very different situation, but I don't know. That's just something to think about.
He's super cheap too. And I think he's had some quotes this week where, they're about to unleash Yesufu, or like he's about to show us
squeaky
something.
Wheel narrative.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Here we go.
But that's a good point. For tournaments, he's under 4K. So he's basically free. And if this game goes the way that we all think, KU could be up 20 plus at halftime and just kind of ride this one out. Moving on to the last
point guards in the country, they're not using him. Why the hell would they use Yusuf?
That's true.
But I get what John's saying in terms of blowout. Maybe he gets some more run.
Yeah. So the last game, definitely an interesting one. I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm a big fan of the Bonnies. So it's the Bonnies against UConn. This is in Newark. I didn't see a line yet, probably because of the Kyle Lofton news. I think he was in a walking boot earlier this week, but he keeps saying that he wants to play in this game. And then on the UConn side, Sonogo's out, and Tyrese Martin I saw is going to try to play here too. I thought he was going to be out as well. So, John, for a situation like this, it's super tough for DFS because it's the last game on the slate, and you've got injury questions in a game that I think is going to be a bit of a grinder, anyways. The Bonnies, 4 top 100 wins already. They've actually slowed it down a bit more without Lofton, which you can probably foresee. UConn dropped that game at West Virginia earlier this week. I think I had UConn plus 2.5, and they lose by 3. That stung a bit. The Bonnies 285th in tempo, UConn 161. That's a little faster than I thought they were going to play this year. Go ahead with this game, John. Your thoughts overall? It's probably tough just with the injury concerns, though.
Yeah, there is a line. It's UConn minus 3.5 or sort of minus 4, depending where you look. But Kyle Lofton, within the context of his own team, is one of the most important players in the country. They looked okay without him against Buffalo. They moved Holmes on the ball, did pretty well. And Holmes is used to playing a massive minutes workload. But different story with the UConn pressure in the half court, the way they just get up in your shit on every possession. Holmes is a good scorer, but he's certainly not explosive. The Bonnies without Lofton, they're basically all the same size with the exception of Ocean in the middle. Everybody's like 6'4", 6'5". UConn has tons and tons of length, all these interchangeable pieces. Even without Martin and Sonogo, they're still really deep there. Defensively, Bonaventure, same scheme every year. Very much a pack line, force you to hit jumpers, which UConn is not built to do. I played under 137.5. I think this is ugly as shit. Very physical.
Same.
Yeah.
And with the injury concerns, it makes it tough. But for DFS, that also introduces some opportunities for some cheaper guys to play. So at the end of this, I do want to get your thoughts on some of those younger UConn guys. The good thing for the Bonnies, like we love them in DFS, John, because they just play all their guys 40 minutes. It's just, you just lock and load.
So concentrated. They have to be, if not the most like top 5 concentrated team.
Yeah. I mean, and in DFS, time on the court is money. So
Holmes is like top 3 in percent of team minutes played before he got injured. It was just like the easiest,
Holmes, Attaway,
for the last 14 years that he's been doing it. Seriously.
Yeah. Holmes, Attaway, and Welch should play this entire game. Ocean probably 32 to 35, which is great for a big guy. One of the highest block percentage in the country. Tough matchup here though with UConn on the interior. Going to be tough for me to play him at 8K. Gavin, what do you think about the game overall? And then give me your thoughts on DFS before we get our thoughts from John on guys like a Cook and Hawkins.
Yeah, the best way I can describe this game would be a grease fest. I mean, you talk about when I don't think Lofton plays. I don't think he does. Maybe he proves me wrong. I don't think Tyrese Martin plays. Sonogo is definitely out, but especially if all 3 of those guys are out, I mean, that's, 3 of the best 6-7 offensive players in the game versus 2 already defensive-minded, slow-paced teams. I think John's 100% got the good look on it. Tyrese Martin especially. Kyle Lofton's one thing. He's got the high ankle, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He was I think they moved him from a boot to a brace or something this week, but still something.
The Tyrese Martin thing makes me feel like he's not going to play for a minute. When you're in a cast, because I broke my hand in college too, and we try to do everything that we could to make sure that I didn't have to put a cast on or we could mold a piece to my – and I was only pitching, and that was my off. I wasn't even talking about playing basketball. Like, I'd be shocked if Tyrese Martin plays coming back from wearing a cast from a week ago from an injury that was prescribed basically a week before.
Well, let's assume that they're all out. Okay.
All right.
For DFS,
Andre Jackson.
For DFS purposes.
You know me. I'm the biggest Andre Jackson guy ever.
He just doesn't shoot, man. I don't know. Really
God forbid
good.
he actually pours a couple in and we just ship the whole slate. That's fine. The
Yeah, but
peripherals are there. He's a freak athlete.
the peripherals are good. He's got the 16% rebound, 16% assist rate. He's cheap, but the issue is you got Hawkins. So the other
Out
day
of consideration with the cock right there.
was it like Tuesday that they played West Virginia? Just a dirty ass game. Jackson was basically the same price as Hawkins and a Cook, and now he's 1,000 more. So I think a Cook is going to be a really good play here. The game sucks, but he's so cheap, and we haven't talked about a ton of value plays on this slate. So I think that he's in play.
He played 31 minutes after getting subbed early too.
I know. He doesn't shoot. But I don't know a ton about him. John, do you know much about him or Hawkins?
A Cook or Hawkins or
yeah.
My recollection of a Cook, I think last year he was out. He had a really bad injury. The year before,
Achilles,
yeah, he was. My recollection of him is he was pretty explosive but very raw. So I don't know if this matchup though, with the way Bonaventure is going to be condensed around the rim, really favors him. But yeah, I'm looking at the price. It makes sense that he could be in that flyer.
Yeah, he could walk into 10 plus rebounds here.
Right.
In a game environment.
God forbid
like
if he gets a couple blocks. It just
blocks
have buried us how many times this year.
Yeah, he could also pick up 2 quick fouls against Ocean, and you're just royally effed. So I think there's risk because of the injury concerns, the matchup, and the style of game, but we are going to need to find value somewhere. And I think that taking one of those is going to be the way to go so that we can play a bunch of the guys that we want. I want to play Jabari Smith on this slate. And you're going to have to make some sacrifices to do it. Obviously, I think that he has the best chance to put just a bomb game on this slate. And that brings us to our core plays before we wrap up. Gavin, why don't you give us 3 guys that you are not going to make a lineup without tomorrow?
Oh man. Well, it starts with Note.
Yeah.
I think that Baby Nemhard's got to be the second.
Baby Nem, you love that guy.
Baby Nem has got to be the second. It feels like you're going to need a UConn piece for budget, whether it's now, if I rated Jackson Hawkins a Cook, I'm probably going a Cook, Jackson, Hawkins.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One of those guys. And then definitely one of the Syracuse guys. If one of the Syracuse forwards, if not in addition to Buddy as well, being at 7-3. Swider and Edwards, those are
they're both
extremely
cheap,
solid plays in the 5K. So
game.
I'm gonna go with Note, go with Baby Nem, and I'm gonna go with Swider.
Okay. For me, I think Note for sure. He's going to be the highest on guy on the slate. Just a misprice on DraftKings part. I'm going to put Jabari Smith in my core. I think that, like I just said, he's got the best chance on the slate to put up a 50 burger. I could see him going like 28,
60.
12
I mean, 60 would not be out of the question. If he puts up, 25, 12 with a couple of peripherals, with 3-pointers, 60 is in play with Jabari 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with this guy watching that UConn game. He's got a smooth stroke for such a big guy.
He's going to be so damn good.
I know very little about the NBA, but he to me is the guy who just shoots up throughout the year. Right now he's really good. By March, you're like, holy shit, this could be the best freshman in the country, hands down.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being like a top 3 pick.
Yeah, we saw Chet Holmgren in person, John, and it's kind of crazy just to take in that is one tall son of a bitch. Oh my God. But then you watch Jabari Smith play and you watch the fluidity and the repeatability of his shot at his length. And oh my God, I'm kind of with him on being right there with Boncaro, and I don't know how popular that is, but man, Jabari Smith, when he gets and grows,
I think he's a better shooter right now
to grow into the guy that Boncaro is. I think it's there. He's the guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's get John's last thoughts, and then I got to read a promo, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I'm a little behind on my actual betting prep today. I've only played 3 games. I mentioned the 2 unders, the Clemson under and the UConn Bonaventure under. Only other game I played so far was Troy plus 5.5 at Tennessee Tech. That's moved down a little bit, but there's a big game at night that I think everyone's going to love watching: Houston and Bama.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this.
In Tuscaloosa, yeah. I'd love to get Houston plus at least 2. I'd be shocked if it got to 3, but I would love to be on Houston, but the number has to be right.
You love this Houston team.
I've been a Houston fan for a couple of years now. Yeah.
Dude, talk about sell high on Bama. I mean, holy shit. Are you going to find a better spot?
Right.
Oh, that game was so much fun on Saturday, John.
We had great seats. Just blitzed them.
Yeah. Gavin, last thoughts on the slate and any bets outside of the slate for you? I know that we're on the same one of the same bets. So go for it.
I'm going to sue me. I'm walking into the fish trap of the week.
Oh no.
You know, if this is the public play and I'm hook, line, and sinkered on it, you know what? Then ring me up for a unit. So be it. But if Illinois beats Arizona, so help me God, there's something falsifiably wrong in this world. And here's the thing. When Arizona, now Christian Coloco used to kind of be the meme of us. You know, he used to be in that like Julius Marble. He can't play 10 minutes because he's going to foul in the first 4 and foul 2 times in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, he's been awesome this year.
Bro, he has been incredible.
That team is so big.
You want to talk about one of what I think is the few and far between men that can literally guard Kofi Cockburn one-on-one. And I'm not saying stop him. I'm not saying completely just deface his night. I'm saying make his life difficult.
Yeah.
If Kofi's life is difficult, that team, again, is dead on arrival. And so, you know, if I'm stepping into the duct tape shoe Joe bet of the week, sue me, but I am. I'm on Arizona. I'm on Texas A&M at home against TCU. Georgia Tech +9 against LSU. And I took a stab with Louisiana Lafayette in a rivalry game at La Tech getting 11. Just one of those where I think Lafayette is coming in a little bit underrated against a very susceptible La Tech team in a rivalry game where we should get full motivation. I think double digits is a little bit much to be asking for that. So those are kind of my 4 spots of the weekend so far.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Georgia Tech bet. I really like LSU, but getting 9. We're big DeVoe fans here, John. The other spot I bet was, and man, I hate taking small road favorites, but Kentucky -3 at Notre Dame. You know, we talked about how we didn't like this Notre Dame coming in, and every national writer is like shocked that they just suck. Hub's been awful. The freshman looks good. You know, he's actually taking minutes from Hub. Not the biggest fan of doing something like this, but man, I think I would be just as shocked. Well, I think, yeah, I would be more shocked if Notre Dame wins this game than if Kentucky won this game by like 20. You know, it's just a sell on Notre Dame in general, I guess.
This was one of the crazier games I can remember last year. Notre Dame went to Rupp. They were up like 22 at half.
Yeah.
And by the end of the game, Kentucky made a run. Notre Dame looked like a drunk college girl trying to stay on the bull after too many drinks. They were just
in icy conditions.
Yeah, hanging on for dear life, and only the clock going to 0 saved them. I think they won by 1 or 2. It was a wild collapse. But yeah, I mean, you know what Notre Dame's going to do. They're going to pack it in and say, Kentucky, go ahead and make jumpers. But Kentucky inside, that is such a mismatch. The physicality is overwhelming.
Freaking Big O.
What a year this year.
What a year.
Pissed off. Like Oscar Tshiebwe is a different being this year.
Yeah.
when fully motivated. I mean, my God.
Yeah. And I've been a bit frustrated with the Atkinson minutes that they're giving him, but we'll wrap this up. We've gone an hour and a half or so. I just wanted to mention again, the new partnership that Run Pierce got with SaberSim, 15% off, promo code for the next week. So yeah, thanks to both of you for joining. Gavin, will you be on Keg's MMA show tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be on with Keg. We'll see what the show's going on, but Keg and I'll be talking people punching each other in the face after.
Hell yeah,
college
I'll tune into that.
See.
And then John, I can't believe last time we did a show, I didn't ask you if you wanted to promote anything or anything like that. So thanks for joining me, and let the people know where to find you and how to track your bets and everything.
Yeah, I'm just kind of a lone wolf operator, but I track everything on BetStamp on college football and college basketball. User ID JAF373. That's all I got.
Yeah. And I saw that you had a great season rolling in the mud with some FCS college football betting. So definitely follow John for that. He's at John Fendler on Twitter. Gavin cannot be found anywhere, so don't try.
Not even by the FBI.
Yeah, that's the point, right? Oh man. So not sure what the schedule will be like for doing something like this. It's just easier on a Friday night for me to talk about games that are starting at noon instead of writing up 9 different games. So we might have a rotating cast of characters. It might not be every week, but I certainly enjoyed this, talking about college basketball with 2 guys who know what they're talking about. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and we're out of here.